Oh boy, that last video really kind of caught fire there. I'm gonna go back to talking about manga, anime, and video games now, so yeah. Thank you. So I've been a big fan of the Shōnen Jump app for a while now. This video is not an advertisement for the service, but it really could be. For around the cost of a cup of coffee a month, I've been able to catch up on a lot of really good manga, as well as some nostalgia picks that I'm not terribly proud to admit that I'm now also up to date on. While Shōnen Jump isn't responsible for every good manga out there, they certainly have their hands on a few. In the past 2 years, I've completed a couple of classic series, caught up on some mainstay heavy hitters, and even discovered a few hits in the making. And let me tell you, reading a manga before an anime adaptation is announced or released is a really great feeling. You all should try it. And then tell people how much smarter you are for reading manga from a magazine intended for children, instead of waiting around for the televised version, also intended for children. So yeah, after going through several manga with a few hundred chapters each, and one 1,000 chapter series, I've started to run out of big manga to read. This has caused me to enter into the precarious world of reading new releases. If you don't know, Shōnen Jump is pretty notorious for canceling any manga that doesn't grab audiences' attention quickly. It's why a lot of series race to explain their central premises as fast as possible, and also why some manga only slow their pace down after their authors suffer health issues from overwork. Manga is great and I love it, but the process of making it is surprisingly dark. I guess it shares that quality with the animation industry. Anyway, the first series I picked up as it started was Candy Flurry, a fun, if a little generic series about high schoolers fighting with magic, candy-based powers. Don't worry, even if you haven't read it, you already know the deal. Candy Flurry is one of those manga that follows in the long tradition of battle systems, intricate fighting strategies, creative applications of power sets, and a lot of colorful ways to say stand or nen without saying stand or nen. Reading a series week to week, right from the beginning, is an interesting experience. You get to kind of feel the author testing out their story ideas and solidifying their art style. Two processes that might not stick out that much when you're blowing through hundreds of chapters of a well-established series. You get to feel an author really coming into their own work as their understanding of their cast and setting takes shape. The only problem is, Candy Flurry failed to garner much attention, and the whole series was cancelled after just 19 chapters, leading to a very unsatisfactory final chapter wrap-up that, it kinda sucked. And even that quick, slap-together ending was more than some axed series get. Still, reading Candy Flurry alongside my other weekly manga mainstays made me form a connection with it that I wouldn't have otherwise made. It became a part of my Sunday routine, and I was sad to see it go. For a while after Candy Flurry ended, I didn't want to pick up a new series because I was afraid of this process repeating. Shōnen Jump cancels a lot of their series.
お父さんと弟も死んだんですか？
今関係ねえじゃん。今ワンピの話だろ?
But I still pay for the app, so I like to open it up and browse around from time to time. And the Shōnen Jump app is really pushy about getting users to try new series. When a Shōnen Jump manga releases a new chapter, it's highlighted front and center at the top of the UI. So if you are addicted to manga like I am, it becomes really tempting to check out a new release when a few different bigger series take a week or two off. This is how I ended up becoming absolutely enamored with the manga Akane-banashi, a series that has only been out for a short while, but one that I hope and believe can go the distance. Akane-banashi follows protagonist Akane, a high school girl striving to improve her skills at Rakugo in order to avenge her father. Don't worry, he's not dead, but he's been granted a fate worse than death: settling for a normal job. You see, Akane's father basically lives for one passion: manga. No, wait, that's wrong. Why did I say that? I meant to say Rakugo. He lives for Rakugo. Now listen, I'm not an expert on Rakugo. I'm probably not even pronunciating it right. I didn't watch that one anime from a few years ago about it, and everything I've learned on the subject has come from this series. But Rakugo is this manga's version of fighting with magic candy powers, so my friend Wikipedia and I are going to try and explain why that is awesome. Rakugo is an ancient form of Japanese storytelling, where a a presenter, sits alone on a stage and tells a well-known folk story while trying to entertain an audience using only their voice, body language, and a very limited prop selection.
When we perform Rakugo, we use only 2 props. In Japanese, we call this sensu. In English, we call this a fan. In Japanese, we call this a tenugui. In English, we call this a hand towel. When we perform Rakugo, we sit in this special way. In Japanese, we call this seiza. In English, we call this punishment.
From what I can gather, it's like a cross between an overly wordy TED Talk and a stand-up routine where everyone already kind of knows the jokes. If all of this sounds really formal and even a bit stiff, that's because, as far as I can tell, it is. If Akane-banashi is to be believed, the challenge for a good performer is how to entertain an audience within this rigid form structure. Akane's father is pretty good at this. He's not the best in the world, but he's dedicated. His love for Rakugo is infectious, and a young Akane is entranced whenever she watches her father perform. Akane's father is practicing hard for a reason. An upcoming Rakugo contest marks his last chance to get promoted to a different Rakugo rank, which will allow him to pursue the art for a living and follow his dreams. Sure, people consider him a deadbeat right now, but if he can just get published, I mean, if he can just nail this performance, everything will change. He's nervous and full of doubts, but he's doing it. The show starts a little rocky, but he gets the audience on his side quickly and overcomes his fears in a career-making performance. And then he's expelled by the judge, along with every performer at the event. His dream of becoming a professional performer is crushed, seemingly on a whim. His future in the arts killed in an instant. Now in the present day, he makes his living selling concrete. Chapter 1 ends there, but Akane's story is just getting started. I don't know if Akane-banashi's author or artist intended for the series to parallel the manga industry in some way, but it became hard for me not to consider the parallels after reading the first chapter. The short, brutal story of Akane's father has a darkness to it that really feels personal. It didn't help that it reminded me of a look back, a one-chapter short about creating manga by the newest breakout star in the industry. Both manga and Rakugo are highly personal art forms, usually expressed by one person, that have to stand out despite strict limitations and traditions. And your success or failure in the industry depends largely on the whims of higher-ups who can grant you your dreams or cancel them mid-story. As far as narrative hooks go, the Arakawa School Promotion Test Massacre is very effective. The series has wisely not shown Akane's father since the first chapter, which gives the impression that he has not just lost his career, but his life, as we, the audience, knew it to be. This inciting incident sets Akane down the path towards becoming a talented Rakugoka herself, so she can one day confront the man who ended her father's career and ask him why. From here, the story picks up with Akane having trained under a Rakugo master, completing her first few live performances and working her way towards that goal. That's about all I want to say about the main plot, since there are still so few chapters out, and I don't want to give anything away. However, if you've read a few manga or watched some anime, you can probably guess where this story is going. Akane-banashi is another in a long line of what I would call Prodigy-Focused series. Certain manga follow protagonists who are either the best at something or working towards becoming the best at a certain subject. These characters usually start as rookies and rise through whatever ranks exist in the world of that subject. Cooking, gambling, magic card games, wine, fashion, cosplay, manga itself, You get it. It's hard not to find these series immensely readable or watchable because there's just something really entertaining about following a character who has dedicated their life to one thing, and who has to solve whatever challenges they may face through creative use of that talent. It's that limitation that keeps a series interesting, and I much prefer these hyper-specific characters and talents to watching a series about someone who's just good at anything and everything. When researched and executed well, this subgenre offers a window into a fascinating world you would otherwise know nothing about. And I'm happy to report the world of Rakugo is an excellent backdrop for a manga. It's a fairly obscure subject, at least for Western audiences, and it fits nicely into a weekly chapter formula. Each chapter of Akane-banashi typically focuses on teaching the audience and Akane a new concept in the Rakugo world. This can be, well, anything really. How to research a story, read an audience, use eye contact, make someone laugh. Even a skill as straightforward as speaking becomes surprisingly complex when examined by this series. And it should be fairly obvious to you at this point, but the art of Rakugo is so completely and respectfully captured by these panels. They're gorgeous and funny, and they convey foreign ideas so incredibly well that I forget I'm just reading about someone talking on a pillow in a dingy cafe or school gymnasium. Alright, look, I don't know if Akane-banashi is long for this world. I really hope it is, but it's hard to say. This image I showed earlier in the video became outdated before this edit was even finished. It should now look like this, and I really hope it doesn't end up looking like this. A series with strong hooks and great execution deserves to be read and published, but that isn't always the case. Still, I have to hope Akane-banashi shines through. It's unique, it has undeniable heart, and in my opinion, it's only getting better.